Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
That you were starstruck. I mean, are you still starstruck when you go out there?
No. They going at me, cussing at me, cursing. Yeah, it's real life now. So, yeah, all that antics and stuff, you better come to war. Because they coming at you. That's about it. That was a fun game, though.
Congratulations on obviously getting the deal. Just maybe your thoughts that you got that. Maybe what was your initial reaction once the Suns matched the Pacers off?
I was happy. It was all done, I guess.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Talk about it!
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets.
Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets. You already know how we do, family. Brought to you as always. It's your host, Justin, a.k.a. Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513, on IG at JustBlaze513, on Facebook and YouTube. Search Above the Rim Podcast. Also, email the show as well, Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. The line is always open, 908-718-1592. Family, I already know the number. Best way to support the show is by copying your merch. Link is in my bio. Show some love. Very easy to find. I appreciate everything. Of course, family, make sure you leave your boy a review on iTunes, on Spotify. If you rock with the show on YouTube, make sure you hit a like, thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever the case may be. I appreciate it as always. Joining me this week, family, one of my guys that I've connected with recently, that I've been trying to connect with for a while now. Very good brother right here. Does exceptional work all across the board. Co-hosting on the Coast to Coast pod, enlightening the streets on Phoenix Suns inside info, dropping bombs all over the place. He might have known KD was coming to Phoenix before KD knew he was coming to Phoenix. I'm happy to have you on, my brother. My man Flex from Jersey. What's good, brother?
What's good, man? What's good? We about to do a New York, New Jersey collab here for the streets, man. I love it, bro.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I love to hear. I appreciate you coming on, my man. As I said before, the episode was a long time coming. You always bring a lot of heat to the table. So I'm happy that we were finally able to connect, my brother. And I've been trying to get my rocks off talking about these Phoenix Suns for a while. So you're the perfect guy to come on and do it with me, man, for sure.
Let's get it.
Let's do it. So family, we all know what's happening, right? Unfortunately, this episode had to happen earlier than expected because the Phoenix Suns should still be in the Western Conference Finals right now, but that's neither here nor there. And most definitely we are going to get into it and what happened in the series. I know the family has been on me a little bit lately because I haven't been publicly talking about the Suns. I've been a little pissed off. Trust me, family, you didn't want me to come on the mic these last couple of days because it wouldn't have been a good episode. There would have been no analyzing, nothing. I was here tight. So, Flex, let's get into it, my brother. So there's so much to discuss. Phoenix Suns, obviously everybody knows what happened to the Suns in the playoffs. Losing in embarrassing fashion to the Nuggets in 6 games. The Phoenix Suns had a very rough exit from the playoffs in 2 straight years. A disappointing end like this usually paves the way for a very, very active offseason, right? The Suns have only 6 players under contract for next year. Devin Booker's under the Supermax deal through 27-28. Kevin Durant is inked through 25-26. Chris Paul, 2 years left, but only 1 year is guaranteed. Ayton is making over $30 million, I believe, next year, with 2 more years after that on his contract. And also Shamet and Cam Payne, I believe, are under contract as well. But before we get into all the off-season logistics, man, I want to talk about what happened on the full Flex because this series was very, very, very disappointing for me. I'm not going to lie, man. Even though the Suns were injured, I still feel like the series was very winnable, in my opinion, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened in the series and what went down. Give me your thoughts, overview of what you thought about the series as a whole, and one word that you used to describe why the Suns lost this particular series to the Nuggets. Talk to me, brother.
Yo, man, listen, one word to describe why this didn't work was continuity, man. Continuity. Like, you know, there's just, you trying to put too much together too fast with not enough continuity and not enough structure, man. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think that anytime, and history shows this, Blaze, Like if you go back in history and you look at teams that make those type of dramatic moves at the deadline, it's not the history's not on your side as far as winning a chip. I mean, I could think of two situations that come to me pretty easy.
One off the top of my head too.
Paul Gasol, you know, was an immediate adjustment. And then a little bit when I was a younger cat, you know, Clyde Drexler. When Clyde Drexler went to Houston, you know, they got it done. But it's very rare that you make that kind of dramatic move and actually get to the chip or actually win the chip. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I'm gonna tell you something, Blaze. Yo, I'm gonna be 100 with you, man.
Yeah.
I follow this team. I'm behind the scenes, man. I talk to a lot of people around that team, players. Man, you know, people were hitting me up like, yo, Flex, you disappointed? How you feeling? You depressed, yo? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I gotta give you a hard 72 to digest this? And, you know, I'm like, nah, bro, because I'm gonna be real, Blaze. I felt relieved, though.
Oh, okay.
I felt relieved.
Okay.
And if there's another one word I could use as to how I feel, it's relieved. And I'm gonna tell you why. There was, you know, one, continuity wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then it became brutally honest to me. It became pretty real to me, watching and having these conversations behind the scenes that I don't think these dudes were going to be able to continue this grind, even if they got past Denver. And so I was worried. I'm sitting here like, yo, let's just get this over. We don't need no injuries. We don't need Book and KD to have nothing before the offseason. Like, let's just put this to bed and let's come rock and roll next year.
So it sounds like you were kind of relieved, like you said, exactly with what was going on. I feel you on that 100%. Also, another mid-year trade that I think went through. I think Rasheed Wallace. Didn't he get traded mid-year?
Yes,
then he did Atlanta Hawks, you know, that one day of Rasheed Wallace, and then he went over there to the Pistons.
That's right.
So
that's a good catch, bro.
Yeah. So that's the one with Pistons obviously making their way to the finals that year and beating the Lakers that year. So so it's a very rare that it does work out in your favor, especially in this day and age too, with a player of KD's magnitude. It's going to be hard to really fully adjust. And I don't think the average fan was really realizing how much goes into a team adjusting when you get a player of KD's caliber to go on your team and how the game plan has to adjust and everything else like that. But I still feel like the series was winnable to a point in a couple of games. If there weren't so many injuries, obviously game 6, Ayton and CP not there, it was going to be tough for them to win that game regardless. But going on this series, I feel like there were a couple of things, you know, the Suns could have done better. I feel like maybe Monty didn't give the supporting cast or the bench much confidence throughout this series and throughout the playoffs as a whole. He didn't really give those guys much confidence. He was doing a lot of favoritism. He was playing a lot of guys that he was comfortable with. And I remember in Game 6, once he took KD out at the end of the first quarter, the Nuggets went on like a 17-0
run. That's it. That's the game.
No timeouts, brother. No timeouts, no adjustments, just vibes. Just sitting there. And I even went on Twitter, I got so pissed off. I'm like, Monty, you couldn't even get a tech in that instance. You couldn't even throw in a clipboard, snap a clipboard over your knee. Like, I know Monty's a nice guy, but I don't want to hear that shit. I need a tech. I need something like you see a guy
I'm throwing a chair. I'm Bobby Knight and some cats.
Something. I don't care what it is. Just get a tech to let me know that you care about y'all losers so much. You see Coach Spo, when shit is not going right, he doesn't even hesitate.
Best coach in the league. Best coach in the league.
Thank you.
Hands down.
Best coach in the league. I had an argument about that the other day. They still saying Popovich. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Hell no.
I'm sorry.
Hands down. Spo. Hey, top 15 ever. Top 15 ever. I'm telling you.
Talk about
Spo is real. Spo is real.
Spo is the captain of doing more with less, in my opinion. Yeah. He gets the most. He maximizes his talent. But going back to Monty, no timeouts called, no clipboards broken, no screaming, no none of that. He had KCP out there on the floor looking like prime Vince Carter and Kawhi all in one. I'm like, what the hell is going on in this game? It was pissing me off. It was a complete disaster. So I think there was some strategical adjustments that he could have made. I think in this series, they didn't run enough pick and roll, in my opinion, in this series. So one of the Suns' bread and butter was a lot of pick and roll. It was more of a motion spread offense. It seemed to me they were, once KD came on board, and especially this series, Monty went to a straight up ISO game.
ISO.
155th
in Harlem. We playing ISO ball. Like, nah, bro.
And it never works that way. We've seen that's exactly the type of play style that eliminated KD in the year before against the Celtics, playing the exact same way. And then Monty, he just did nothing to... It doesn't even seem like he was really prepared, I guess. I don't even want to disrespect the man saying he wasn't prepared, but I didn't see enough preparation for Monty.
I will, Blaze. I will.
Let me have
and
it.
You know what? I'm going to keep it 100, man. Like I said, I tread lightly, man, because there's sometimes that I just can't say certain things.
Yeah.
Because I'm out there and I'm interacting with these cats. So I got to tread lightly on Twitter, but Monty's gone now. So
Yes.
so now I could speak.
Let
freely,
me know.
bro. Listen. I was getting tired. First of all, the adjustments that weren't made were adjustments that. And Blaze, I respect you, bro. Like I know your basketball grind. I know your intellect. Like I'm telling you, these are adjustments that I'd expect AAU coaches to make. Like it's simplistic stuff, dog. We're not talking about like going real deep X and O stuff. We talking about just systematic, basic principle stuff. And I'm a coach too, man. I train, I coach, and I'm looking at this game and I'm like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker? Like, what are you doing? So, I listen. I'm gonna tell you something, Blaze. And this has been bothering me for a little bit. We go back. I'm going to give Monty his respect. Okay, Monty was the right guy to hire 4 years ago. When this team was a bottom dweller, right? Needed to change the culture. Need to get things back in order. Perfect guy for the job.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, man, you got it. You know that saying. When somebody tell you who they are, believe them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
You better believe them.
So right. So I'm gonna tell you right now. The Suns don't have an NBA championship because Monty showed us he couldn't adjust after being up 2-0 in the finals. Like Budenholzer made the adjustment. I was at game 2, bro. I was live in the arena at game 2. I saw what we were doing in game 2. I saw what Milwaukee was doing. When we went to game 3, it was a completely different dynamic.
Absolutely.
And Monty couldn't adjust.
Absolutely.
So now you talk about you lose 4 straight to the Bucks. Okay? And then you come in the next year, you win 64 games. You're up 2-0 against Dallas. You're up 3-2 against Dallas, and you lose a game 7 by 40. You know what the problem is, Blaze?
Crazy.
At that point, they pointing at DA.
Yep.
This is what Monty's doing. He's pointing at DA.
Yep.
He's saying, yo, DA was the problem. But hold on, man. Like, DA didn't play game 6. Recently. DA was in street clothes.
Yep.
You still lost by 30 on your home court, bro. So, it got to a point for me that Monty was obviously not a good coach at making in-game adjustments. And it became brutally honest that he was looking for scapegoats. And that's why we have a change. That's why things had to change and we had to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that you said. He definitely had to be... Well, I mean, you can't even call him a scapegoat because he was one of the direct reasons for the loss. So it's not technically a scapegoat. A scapegoat is somebody who didn't really have too much to do with the loss. They're just blamed for it. But he had a direct result, and his lack of adjustments, communication, his lack of getting to certain players, which we're going to talk about, is what contributed to a lot of what happened in that series. And, even though the Suns still looked together as a team, there's still something that seemed a little bit off when they hit some type of adversity. And that was the thing that I was worried about. I know that this team only had 20 games together, but I was worried about how they would respond when they hit some real adversity. And when you play a team like Nuggets, I mean, it's not like they were playing chopped liver right now. They were the number 1 seed in the West. People were talking like the Suns were supposed to dominate this team. And I'm like, hold on, that is the number 1 seed in the West. And they were the number 1 seed in the West for a reason all year. And you see how they're still performing now. So I was a little worried about how they responded to the adversity. And I was a little bit disappointed also with how they responded to the adversity. So I don't think maybe the chemistry was off as a whole, but I think they were a lot of chinks in that armor that needed to be, need to be patched up for it to go on. Go ahead. Yep.
No.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more, dog. Like that's what it. You know what? First of all, we gonna call a spade a spade. Like if it walk like a duck and it quack like a duck, it ain't a dog, bro. It's a duck. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So we was rolling out there with KD and Book. it's hard to win a series if Deandre Ayton ain't gonna be there to help defend Joker. It's hard to win a series if Chris Paul's not gonna be able to set the table. And I know people were saying, yeah, we speed up the tempo with campaign, we might be better. Nah, man, listen, I've been around basketball too much, bro. like Chris Paul, you don't judge Chris Paul based on the box score, man. You judge Chris Paul based on how he operates and controls the game. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go get surgery, you don't tell the doctor, yo, you got a time frame, though. You let him cook and you let him do what he gonna do.
Thank you.
And that's that. So yeah, Chris Paul, you're not gonna win a series without Chris Paul and Deandre Ayton. So that was tough. And then honestly, dude, again, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Hey, my bro, there ain't too many dogs on that team. Like there just ain't too many dogs on that team. And you could teach all that other stuff. You can't teach bro.
You can't teach that.
You can't teach it.
You can't teach that at all. I'm glad you said that because I said that like a few weeks. Actually, in my playoff preview, I said one of the things I was concerned about with the Suns, there were no goons on this roster. No goons on this roster at all. Like, not at all. Like, not even one, not even half of one.
Not even half of one.
Not even half of one.
I'd have gave somebody, your dog, I'd have gave a pinky for Pat Beverly.
Yo.
I'd have gave a pinky for Pat Bev. I'd have said, yo, Pat Bev, come rock.
Yo.
That's a goon.
Yo.
You know what I mean? Like,
it was so insane. And it was evident throughout the season that there were no goons on the roster. Even with Pat Bev, when he came in that one game, when DA pushed down Austin Reeves and then Beverly came and pushed down DA and nothing happened after that. Nothing happened. Everybody just
Blaze,
stood around.
if somebody push you right now, I'm getting to your studio. Like I'm getting there to help out.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. Somebody hit you, I'm clocking them in the back of the head, whatever. I'm like, you're not gonna just push my mans like that and just let this go. So I was always worried about that with the Suns, and clearly it came back to haunt them because there were a lot of the Nuggets were just bullying them. They were more aggressive in that series.
100%.
Yeah, so before we move on into the offseason, what's going on with the offseason, I want to talk about Book really fast, right? Because Book had a phenomenal postseason. There are some people who are trying to discredit his phenomenal postseason because of how the postseason ended. I disagree with a lot of that. I think he was exceptional throughout the postseason. And could he have played better in the Game 6? Obviously, clearly. I think everybody could have played better. So I'm holding the entire team accountable for not showing up in that Game 6, right? But I hope to see the same ultra-aggressive Book that we've been seeing in the playoffs going into next season. I hope he is still going to keep that same... Well, we know he's going to still keep it, but still keep the same mentality as he had in his postseason because he was elevated a little bit. And he's completely solidified himself, in my opinion, as the best two-guard in the league. I think it has been that for a while now. And I think going into next season, he should still have this same mindset to dominate and be the number one option from game one going into the season. Not easing into the season, not more getting KD comfortable in the lineup. KD should now maybe have to play off Book going into next season.
100%.
Yeah. So what do you think about how Book's performances throughout this postseason and some people trying to discredited how he went out?
Yeah. Man, listen, for the people that want to discredit Book, I'm sitting here saying, are y'all discrediting Jason Tatum when he had 7 points, just recently in a big time playoff game? Like, listen, we played 11 games, 12 games, for lack of argument. Book was terrific in every game except that game 6.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So you're talking about a 1-to-11 ratio, dog. That's generational talent. If you're gonna have one bad NBA game out of 12 or out of 11, you're talking about a different animal. So I'm good with Book. Listen, at the end of the day, Blaze, when you look at Game 7 versus Dallas and you look at Game 6 versus Denver, I'm a coach, I'm a player, I train. I ain't never lost by 30 and blame one person. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like miss me with that. If you lose by 30, bro, it's a collective effort.
It's everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everybody. So, I like to think that in that situation, and I know some people around that camp, it's deflating, Blaze.
Yeah.
It's deflating. It's deflating when you know who you are.
Yeah.
and you know what you can do.
What you can do.
Right? And then you look to your left and your right and you're like, yeah, you're not about it and you're not about it. Y'all didn't come to war. Y'all didn't come to fight. And so I think psychology plays a lot in basketball, bro.
Absolutely.
And I think that psychologically, I saw some things behind the scenes before Game 6. Like, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to break something right. I'm going to say something that I've never said on air.
Talk to me.
And this is behind the scenes. Like, Deandre Ayton ruled himself out of Game 6 3 days before. Oh. Like, okay? Okay, so I keep things close to the vest. Mm-hmm. And I try to tread lightly. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna ask you this, Blaze. Mm-hmm. If you get hit in the ribs and we got a game in 2 days, you probably gonna go home and ice it. Yeah. You're gonna rest it, and then you're gonna let me know how you feel in 2 days.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, I'm saying on the record, that ain't necessarily what happened behind the scenes. And so when you in a battle and you got guys that are already like, yo, I'm not playing Game 6, and it's like, yo, you got 2 days? What do you mean?
2 days?
So these are things that people don't know about. These are things people don't talk about. But I think Book went into that game defeated mentally because he's saying, like, it's me, KD, and nobody else.
Yeah, I mean...
Like my coach don't even got our back.
I feel him on that. And it's crazy that you say that because if it was me, like you said, you brought up the stuff about ribs, I'd have been calling somebody, yo, give me a bulletproof vest or something. Give me some extra padding to wear under the ribs. I need something because there's no way I'm going to miss this game unless I'm not breathing. Right.
Hey, Blade. Wiggins played with a broken rib, bro.
Just about to say that. He played it. He thugged it out.
A broken rib, bro.
Come on.
Yeah. So these are the dynamics that people don't know about. But that's why I'm not worried about Book. Like, I know who Book is. I know the work he puts in. I know how much that camp cares about basketball. And this dude eats, sleeps, and drinks it.
Yes.
And so I'm not worried at all, man. I think Book is gonna come out ready to go next year.
Yeah,
I think KD. I will say another thing that I haven't spoke up publicly. Kevin Durant was dealing with a couple things, brother. KD was dealing with a couple things. And KD's a dog, and he ain't going to go on the podium and make excuses.
Of course.
But I can tell you emphatically, KD was dealing with a couple things. Nothing serious, nothing for people to be like, oh, something's wrong with KD.
Yeah.
But you know when your game, you play ball, I play ball. Blaze, I've had 3 back surgeries, like from basketball, okay? I know I'm a jump shooter. There were days when I elevate, and if my legs aren't there because my back is having an issue, everything doesn't work. And so a guy like KD, if that ankle is slightly, not right, or that knee is a little bit tender, his jump shot's going to be affected. So I think KD's going to, he's going to do good by getting his rest. And when we re-up in the summer, we're going to see a whole different squad next year.
Oh, yeah. We know we're going to see something new. We know that for sure. So I agree with all of that you said. So I definitely know that they was dealing with a couple of issues, but, I still feel like it was just a disappointed loss. And I just didn't want them to go like this. You know what I'm saying? Because now you got the haters talking. So that's all I didn't want to hear.
Agreed.
Now the haters are talking wild shit 2 years in a row. So that's what
you know what's going to happen, though, Blake? And I don't want to be long-winded. I don't want to hold you up. But you know what's going to happen, Blaze? I'm telling you, I just got a funny feeling about this. The Nuggets going to win the championship. The Nuggets going to win the championship. And this is going to look a lot different.
It's going to be a lot of questions after that point. Like, wow, you just lost to the eventual champion.
You just lost to the eventual champions. And you didn't have Ayton, you didn't have CP, and y'all had a whole crazy continuity thing. And yet y'all still went to 6 and a couple bounces left or right. That could have went 7. So, so it ain't as bad as people think, Brody. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I got a feeling we're going to be all right.
Of course. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. So let's get into the offseason, my brother. Some offseason changes that could possibly be made and most likely might be made going into the offseason right here. Like I said before, the Suns only have 6 players under contract going into next season and a major head coaching vacancy for one of the top teams in the league, one of the most talented teams in the league. Monty Williams was let go, what was it, only 2 or 3 days after the postseason ended. Phoenix has been linked to a couple of coaches thus far already in this offseason. Ty Lue is obviously the big name that they've been linked to. Coach Bud from Milwaukee, Nick Nurse, Suns assistant Kevin Young also as well. I heard some rumblings, a weird Sam Cassell rumbling, but I don't know if there's anything have to do with that. But I heard a lot of top flight assistants are now maybe going to be clamoring and some trying to to interview for this head coaching job, right? So we talked about it before of the reasons why Monty had to be replaced, why he had to be let go because of the lack of adjustments, because maybe of his relationship with DA going into the season, throughout the season, and through the postseason also as well. His connection to certain players, DA in particular, wasn't really the greatest. And stuff like that, everything looks good and peachy when the team is winning, but when you hit a little bit of adversity, or maybe a lot of adversity, that's when people's true feelings about each other come out. And then some people just can't turn back. Like, they just remember everything that you said to them before, or everything maybe you're about to say to them, and then stuff that just gets boiled over, and then everybody is a man at the end of the day. Everybody has their own pride, their own ego, their own things going on, and if you don't feel really good about a person, it's going to come up and it's going to eventually show its head. So with all that being said, we see why Monty Williams had to go. They're in a major head coaching search right now. Flex, what are the type of things that you've been hearing, maybe of some coaching searches that they've been looking at? Or is there a coach in particular that you may want on Phoenix that you're thinking about that maybe they should go after? So talk to me about that, a little bit of the head coaching situation going on there.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what the last update was that I got yesterday regarding the coaches. So they're casting a wide net, brother. They really are. They're casting a wide net. No rocks unturned. I mean, they're gonna look at NBA first time. They're gonna look at assistants, potential first time head coaches. They're gonna look at the OGs, the Budenholzers, the Nick Nurses, the Doc Rivers. All those guys are gonna get looks. They might even go into the college rankings and start looking at poking around on some college coaches. What I was told was there's gonna be a wide net and there's a lot of names on the board. Okay, but this is, and I'm telling you verbatim what I've heard. With that said, what I was told was they don't have a name that they're necessarily targeting. They're looking for somebody to reveal themselves in the process. Like, yo, we believe we know who you are, but we want you to identify yourself and separate yourself from the pack, because this is a unique thing we got going on.
Yeah,
you got Kevin Durant, you got Devin Booker, and there's going to be a reconstruction. And so I think they're gonna wait to see who can reveal themselves as the coach. And I'll tell you another nugget. I was told emphatically that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker want to be coached. They want to be challenged. They want to be pushed. Okay. They don't want to feel like the number 1 and 2 guy on the roster. They want to be coached like the 12th guy on the roster.
Yes, that's the only way it works.
Yeah, that's the only way it works, and that's something that necessarily wasn't going on with Monty. So it's a wide net. They know what they're looking for. They just don't have a name down pinpointed, brother. I really feel that way based on the conversations I'm having. There's no real target, except you better know how to coach, and you better be able to push Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, because we going for it next year. So it's kind of where they are right now, and they're gonna take their time.
I know
they're not. I don't think they're in a rush.
I 100% agree with that, and I do feel like they're gonna do their due diligence on this search and do a lot going on with that search. I feel like some of the names being thrown out, or some may be smoke screens, some may be actual people that they're really looking at, but it, like you said, the coach should reveal himself. Or maybe there's a candidate that's going to contact them and say, listen, I see the talent you guys got here. I got a system that I know will be great for you.
Exactly,
I got a system I know they're going to
run. I throw a name at you? I'm going to throw a low-key name that I absolutely love, but there's politics behind it. There is politics behind it that I think need to get narrowed out. But I'm going to tell you, man, Kenny Atkinson.
Ooh.
Kenny Atkinson, who's the assistant coach under Steve Kerr in Golden State. What was in Brooklyn, is a New York guy. I grew up rocking with them Kenny Atkinson camps out in New York. Okay? So I know Kenny. I know he's got a system. I know he's well respected. And I'll tell you what, I'm intrigued by Kenny Atkinson because I believe that we're going to see a whole different product next year. And I would love to see Devin Booker in the role in a Golden State system where he doesn't have to be so ball dominant, but he can move and he can get catch and shoot opportunities. You know what I mean? So I think there's an opportunity there. I think they'll kick they'll kick the rock on, kick the tires on that. And that's a low key name that if I was in the front office and I had some say, I'd be like, yo, we need to definitely be talking about Kenny Atkinson a little bit more. But that's just a little dark horse.
I feel you, and I like that. And to me, as long as the coach that they bring in, as long as he holds the players accountable and every player on the roster accountable and isn't afraid to actually speak up to the players, isn't afraid to say, yo, KD, you didn't set that pick hard enough. I need that back screen. Book, you're not running these routes a lot. I need you a little more energy going on. CP,
a little sharp.
Less play calling, more running it down the floor, get to your spot. Ayton, more deep seals, none of that stuff. So I just want a coach that's going to be able to hold the team a lot more accountable, because sometimes it looked like Monty wasn't really trying to say everything that needed to be said throughout the game and throughout a season. And I need a coach that's gonna break a clipboard. Get a tech. I need a coach. I have a problem with coaches that don't get techs. Like Mike Malone, what he's doing right now in this Western Conference Finals, I respect it. I give him a whole lot. He is not afraid to challenge the media to the narratives or whatever's going on. And so I respect Mike Malone for how he's not afraid to say whatever it is that needs to be said. So I just feel like they need a coach who also can show that accountability and also have some extra competitive fire that they needed, because that's what they need.
100%.
And some goons to go with that too, to carry out that process.
100%, Blaze. I'm with you 100% on all that, man.
Absolutely. So let's talk about probably the biggest name going on in the Phoenix Suns off season. It's the max center Deandre Ayton right now. He's going to be the number one name thrown out on everything going on in the Phoenix Suns. He will make about, $32 million going into this year. He's got 2 more years after that on his contract. He just signed it last year. We know the whole debacle that was going on with the restricted free agency. I don't know if the Suns can consider this a successful offseason if Deandre Ayton isn't moved after the postseason that he just showed everybody that he was in his postseason, right? My main issue was his lack of rebounding, his lack of motor at times. When it's going great, he's one of the best centers in the league. But when adversity hits, he tends to self-destruct a little bit, in my opinion. And you can't win a championship that way with your big man in the middle self-destructing. And it's just pretty much the mental engagement for me, in my opinion, right? So he doesn't seem, I feel like Deandre Ayton, when I'm looking at him on the floor from the outside looking in, it seems that he doesn't really take direction very well, or maybe he doesn't agree with what's being told to him by whoever's delivering the news or the message or whatever it is. So I know most likely there's going to have to be some off-season action with Deandre Ayton. This is almost inevitable that maybe he's moved or something happens with him. He's been linked to several teams this offseason, the Blazers, the Mavs, the Pacers, the Raptors, to name a few. So what's your thoughts on the DA situation going on this summer? I know you're frustrated with his play. I've been frustrated with his play. Everybody's been a little frustrated with Deandre Ayton's play for the Suns this season. So what's your thoughts on his situation and the trademark going into the trademark in this summer? Because I know people are on your bumper about these DeAndre Ayton trade rumors, brother. I know they are.
Yeah. And man, I told you I went to bed 3 a.m. on one of those rumors. I put out a tweet last night. I was talking to one of my league sources out there in the West Coast and connected to Portland. And Portland shopping 3, and they want DeAndre Ayton. And
they want him.
So they want him. And Blaze, let me get into some detail here. I make a lot of phone calls. I talk to a lot of people around the league, man. I do my rounds every day. I'm just trying to get narratives and perspectives from people. And when I'm gonna tell you something you might be surprised with. The conversations I'm having with people around the league outside of the Suns there's a big market for DeAndre. There's a bigger market than people think, okay? There are people that think that DeAndre Ayton has, 1, been misused, 2, has untapped potential, okay? And 3, has not been maximized to the ability he can be maximized in Phoenix. I had somebody tell me this yesterday. Great example of perspective. I had an Eastern Conference guy with an Eastern Conference team tell me, hey, Flex, this DeAndre Ayton situation reminds me of Lauri Marketing. Okay? And I was like, go into details, brother. And he told me straight up, he goes, listen, an Arizona, University of Arizona kid, high draft pick, went to Chicago, shoot too many threes,
out of position,
lack focus, and was soft. That was Lauri Marketing's deal in Chicago. They moved him to Cleveland. It was the same thing. He gets traded to Utah, finds the right situation. Now he's untouchable. Now he's an all-star. Now he's got a market where you're talking about, so he said the same thing about DA. He's like, Arizona kid, University of Arizona, high draft pick, wasn't used right by the Suns, could potentially go to a new team, 24 years old, and they believe they can transform Deandre Ayton into a guy that is more of the finished product that we expected to get, but we never really maximized it, and again, DeAndre's got his flaws, brother. You mentioned all of them. Okay, you mentioned all of them. I don't need to even repeat it. Everything you said, times 2, right? Yeah. Everything you said times 2 is real about Deandre Ayton. But I will say this, bro. And I'm going to play devil's advocate. If the kid comes into the NBA with anybody on any draft that doesn't include Luka Doncic, he's rookie of the year. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
That year 3, besides Devin Booker, he was probably the best player in that finals run for the Phoenix Suns. Okay? Other than Devin Booker. In some people's opinion, maybe the second most valuable player on that team on the finals run. Okay? So he can get you to the finals, and you up 2-0 with DeAndre Ayton.
I was about to say, he played excellent against the Joker and AD in that particular run. So he was the reason why they were able to move on. So
okay, so now let's talk about the subsequent. Let's talk about the following season. Following season, you come back after a finals loss, you win 64 games, franchise record, and guess who your center is? DeAndre Ayton. Okay? In the first round versus the Pelicans, Devin Booker hurt his hamstring. Who carried the Suns? Go look at the tape. It was DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, I got to give it to my man Chris
No,
Paul
not you. Oh, no. CP had a great end of the series.
Don't forget the closeout game of 14 out of 14.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
I'm talking about the games where Book didn't play. And the games that Book didn't play.
And he had to play with Valanciunas at that. So he was bumping and grinding with Valanciunas.
Bumping and grinding, did a very good job. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I'm saying there's a lot of flaws. Yeah. But I can understand why people outside of Phoenix are looking at him saying, I wonder what that guy would look like if he was actually the number 2 option, getting more than 10 shots a game.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's why there's a market for DeAndre. But I do think he's going to get moved, brother. I'm pretty confident. They've got some deals. And I will say this. I've heard the structure is they want a first-round pick, they want a starter, and they want a young rotational guy that they can move. So that's what they're looking for DeAndre. And believe it or not, Blaze, they can get it. I've heard already 3-4 teams that are willing to give that. And there's a team in the top 5 that's not named Portland that will trade the 5th pick right now for DeAndre. I just told you that they're the 5th pick, so you can add to it. It's Detroit. It's Detroit.
I was about to say, you already let the streets know who it is.
So the streets know. Detroit will absolutely trade for DeAndre in a heartbeat, and so he's got a market, and that's where we're at with.
Absolutely, and I 100% agree with what you're saying. A lot of people who are trying to downplay DA or DeAndre Ayton or what he brings to the table, they're not realizing that there's a market for a lot of players in this league. Just because you don't perform as well with this particular team, it may be because they needed you in a particular role and you weren't bestly suited and fit for that role. The role that the Phoenix Suns needed DeAndre Ayton to play, that wasn't his strong suit. He's not a bruiser. He's not a full-on rim protector, shot blocker. Some guy's going to get you 20 rebounds. He couldn't even get 10 rebounds in this series against the Joker, which was ridiculous to me. That's always been my problem. He averaged, 9 rebounds in the series, which was unacceptable for a center. But somewhere else, we know DeAndre Ayton could get you 20 and 10. He could get you 18 and 11 or whatever the case may be with the right pieces around him, with a team that wants to feature him. It wasn't an opportunity for him in Phoenix to be featured once the culture shifted as into more of a win-now mode. And once they got Chris Paul, it was the start of the ascension of listen, we got Chris Paul here. We're going to have some other guys who are going to want to be here, other guys who Chris Paul is friends with, who Devin Booker's friends with, who want to be there with Monty or whatever the case, with James Jones guys. They're going to be teams like that. So once you start shifting the culture that way, this is not a young kid team anymore. This is not a team that's going to be satisfied with 40 wins, 30 wins, and just, having great stats. This is a team that has to go deep into the playoffs every year. And in what requires a team to win a championship is sacrifice. And the problem is, how much was DA sacrificing here for that role that the Phoenix Suns needed him to do? Somewhere else, he may not have to sacrifice. So there's going to be a major, a good enough trade market for him. Now, maybe some teams may not value him, maybe at the price, I guess, maybe because they had to sign him to a max deal. But I feel like if it's a team with some cap room, like you mentioned, the Pistons, Blazers, some teams that could maneuver Toronto. And if there's a team that wants a player, they're going to make the necessary room to get that type of cap room to acquire said player and put him into their lineup. So a lot of people saying that DA has no trade market. They're wrong. There definitely is going to be a trade market.
They're wrong, brother.
Yeah, they're wrong.
They are wrong. Dead wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Do you feel like there's any smoke to the DeMar DeRozan for Deandre Ayton kind of rumors? Like anything like that? Have you ever heard?
I don't think that's smoke. That's real.
Oh, you think that's real?
No, that's
because I've heard some rumblings about that.
No, that's real. That's real. Bro, there are so many options for Deandre Ayton right now. DeMar DeRozan is a real option. They're gonna lose Vucevic.
Vooch, yep.
They're trying to build around Zach LaVine. I was actually just having a talk with somebody close to that Bulls situation. And so they like DeAndre a lot. Toronto does too. Blaze, I wish I can, man, I wish I could be so much more open about some of this stuff, brother. But I could tell you, rest assured, that dude's got a market. A lot of teams are going to be knocking on the door. And I'll give you another example, and in two different players. I'm going to be 100 with you. DeAndre Ayton is a better shooter, more athletic, and a better defender than Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, I ain't mad at that.
I'm just saying those three categories.
And you see how Sabonis was so overrated also, too, going into the postseason. Look how he performed.
You see what I'm saying? So there are teams that are looking and they're saying, he's 24. He's more athletic than Sabonis. He's a better defender. Laterally, can guard the paint, can guard the perimeter, can switch out. He's not a center that you can play off the floor in the playoffs. So he's got some unique abilities there. And then you got people that are saying, look at what Sabonis did for Sacramento. And there's teams that think they're the next Sacramento.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They're saying, you know what? If you give me DeAndre Ayton, and Portland's one of them. Portland is saying, how much different will we look if DeAndre was our number 2 with Simons and Shaedon Sharp, and they're definitely gonna re-sign Jeremy Grant. I was told that that's a done deal, pretty much. He's coming back. So there's teams that have interest in DA, and it makes sense. And I think the Suns are gonna make a good deal when it's all said and done, and get some required depth and capital for DA.
Yes, I like that plan a lot better. Rather than trying to really trade and go hard for another star, bringing in somebody who may have to be fit into the offense, or maybe you have to game plan a whole nother offense around a big 3 or another big 4. I like going the depth route. I like getting maybe a pick, a very quality starter, starting center, most likely would be best. A starting center caliber, and then a nice rotational defensive or 3-and-D type of wing would be ideal for this Phoenix Suns team. So
agreed.
That's exactly what they're thinking, and it's like obvious that that's exactly what they need, because that's the only thing that they were missing in this playoffs. And there's somebody else 100%. Who can get a bucket also. That's also one thing that they need to get, which I feel like there's a few bucket getters that they could get on the market. So moving on, right? Talked about DA. Got to talk about Chris Paul a little bit. My guy right here, man. I'm a little sensitive to this situation right here. That's my boy, man. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him.
CP a GOAT, man. CP a GOAT, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, I call a spade a spade. I was very disappointed that he wasn't able to finish this series. Plenty of chatter going on Twitter or all over the place around Chris Paul. A lot of people want him gone, but I don't think they really realize the basketball impact that Chris Paul has on the team, what he brings to the table, running the team, getting everybody in their right position, in their right spots, really dictating an offense, and also being an extension of the coach, right? So a lot of people are really undervaluing what Chris Paul brings to the table. Now, I know people talking about his contract, blah, 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 case may be, but the Suns did agree on that contract at that particular time. And I still feel like there are ways that they can, make something that works best for both parties, maybe for him or maybe for the team or whatever the case may be. Chris Haynes came out recently and said the franchise is currently of the mindset that Chris Paul will open up the season as the team's starting point guard. Fans have been vocal, as I said before. So maybe the Suns are going to be looking to move on from Chris Paul via trade, or maybe giving it another shot with him on the roster and maybe retooling around that core, because they only played 20 games together. And it's not like they had a losing 20 games. They were, 15-5 or 16-4, something like that in those 20 games that they played. So do you feel like Chris Paul is still on the roster going into the season? Do you feel like he's still the starting point guard on the Phoenix Suns? And how do you feel about all the smoke that's been going on about Chris Paul and his value to the team?
Nah, I think, listen, they're going to guarantee that $30 million contract. Mm-hmm. I do think Chris is going to be the starting point guard come opening night. I do. There's nothing behind the scenes and none of the conversations I'm having that are telling me otherwise. Now, I'm going to keep it 100, Blaze. Mm-hmm. Like, the Suns and Chris Paul have a good relationship. They do. And, part of that mutual relationship and mutual admiration is, we gonna respect you, OG. We gonna pick up that $30 million because you Chris Paul. They're gonna do that. Now, am I telling you that if somebody unique becomes available and they got to move on from Chris to do that, then both parties know what they're getting into, dog. True. They both know what they're getting into. Mm-hmm. So I do think he starts at point guard on the opening day roster. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, you brought up a name in DeMar DeRozan, man, and we'll have more talks about that behind the scenes. But I'm looking at a potential lineup of Chris Paul, DeMar DeRozan, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. Those are probably the best 4 mid-range shooters on planet Earth on one team. Okay? So there's a reason to still want Chris Paul, especially with that type of dynamic, if you could build some depth. So I think Chris got one last run in him.
Yeah. I would agree there.
He got one last run in him, bro.
A healthy one.
like, bro, listen, I'm 43. Yeah. I just had 3 back surgeries. I'm going to hoop tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm going to hoop tomorrow, but I knew when it was time. I knew. Yeah. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, all right, money, you ain't the spring. You got to face your mortality sometimes. So I think Chris is at that crossroad where he's like, yo, I got one more real run in me, and then it might be time to be Gucci. Mm-hmm. And so, I think he will be back, and I think the Suns got a good plan to structure a better base around him. Mm-hmm. Once again, to kind of maximize and keep him fresh.
Yeah, and see, all of that, what you said is very fair and very understandable what you're saying, right? Because he does have positive assets, and there are some, negative things, obviously, about him, contract or whatever the case may be, whatever people want to say, but has a great relationship with James Jones. He's one of the guys there that really came in and changed around the culture of the Phoenix Suns and brought them more into a winning now mentality type of mode. But my thing is, I still feel like the reason why the injury was so prevalent and such a big and more of a huge deal this time is because James Jones still hasn't gotten CP an adequate backup on his team. Still hasn't gotten him the prop up. So if we brought up, he's 38 years old. James Jones knows he's 38 years old. Everybody knows he's 38 years old. We've seen this happen last year. We've seen it happen the years prior. Yeah. Why haven't you gotten an adequate backup that you trust to play 20 to 30 minutes a night, or a combo guard, even at that, to come off the bench, a Malcolm Brogdon type of guy, a guy like that who knows can take over point guard duties and can also play with Book and also give you some buckets at the same time. Anyone knows that Chris Paul, getting up in age, he's an Asian Hall of Fame point guard. You have to put the right pieces around him for him to also succeed. And for Chris Paul, playing him 38 minutes a night in the playoffs is not setting him up for success. We know eventually something is going to happen. Monty Williams started playing him a little too much, which he always does, ramps up toward the playoff time. And then, it's always a freak injury. It's always something. It's a groin, a hamstring, something called pinky.
The worst ones too, man. Wow.
Something that he can't come back from, or something that he's really pissed about. So I feel like a lot of it is unfortunate circumstances, but I also got to look at the front office. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Cameron Payne, but he's not a championship caliber backup that this team really needed. So I feel like as much as being brought on Chris Paul being injured from time to time, a lot has to be put on James Jones in the front office for not really making it a priority to really put a backup point guard behind him. And I feel like that's something that should be at the top of the list this offseason. I
believe it is. Yeah. I believe it is, Blaze. And listen, I'm also going to go so far as to say that I think that Chris is going to be more open to, I don't want to say pass the torch, but more open to, Yeah, taking a little bit of a step back.
That's fair.
I don't think Chris is like people say play Chris as a six man. Chris not a six man. Like he's not a six man.
Nah.
Like that's not gonna work.
Nah.
So, but there's a way to structure it in where Chris is still your starter.
Yes.
But you got another dog behind you. You know what I mean?
There's a very possible way. You just have to play Chris Paul and bring him out early and bring in that combo guard to play with Book, KD, whoever the case may be, and bring Chris Paul back in at the end of the first quarter.
Correct.
And then bring him in the second quarter and play with the bench unit.
Correct.
And really have them solidify another offense, because Chris Paul actually, we've seen them do it from time to time throughout the regular season, but it's just like they just abandoned that style. And it's because they don't have a suitable backup and they don't trust campaign in these situations. And it's understandable. So I was thinking about it also. Is there any way, I don't know if it's set in stone that the contract is fully guaranteed right now, but is there any way that before, I think, what is it, the June 28th deadline, I believe it is?
June 28th.
June 28th is something like that, right? That they can maybe restructure Chris Paul's contract, this $30 million, or do like 15 stretched over 2 years, or maybe something like that?
No, so I mean, what I was told was once they pick up the guaranteed $30 million, you can't restructure it, you can't do anything with it.
But did they fully pick it up?
Yeah, well, they haven't yet.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the thought process, but they didn't like officially do it.
They haven't officially done it, but I'm being told from some really good sources that it's going to happen. Okay. And once they do that, you can't do any restructuring or anything like that. And then, there was that option too, where if you don't pick it up and you pick up the 15, you might be able to stretch that out. Listen, you know what the problem is with that, Blaze, is that people, they don't think logically with some of this stuff. It's like, yo, dog, you're not going to find a better point guard than Chris Paul for $15 million. You're just not. You're not. So you pick up that $30 million and you go on with the savvy vet because he's good enough to know. You know what I mean? He's good enough to get the job done. And then you do exactly what you said. You bring another competent young guard that might be able to close a little more.
Yes.
Or take a little bit of that gap in the middle of a game.
Yes.
Chris, you start and finish, but I'm going to dominate the middle of this game so that you can be chill. And so I think that's something they're looking at. And I will tell you this. You mentioned the name, Malcolm Brogdon. Very interesting name. Somebody the Suns definitely like. How they can get him is going to get tricky. Tough, but Malcolm Brogdon is somebody they like.
Yeah, a guard like him would be a perfect guard to bring on to the Suns that would really help out and really prolong this lineup, right? So we're going to see what they do with Chris Paul this summer. Hopefully, I think he's still going to be on the team. I don't want to listen to all the Twitter rumblings, all that nonsense. They just a bunch of Chris Paul haters online. I hear all of y'all. I hear y'all coming at my neck. I don't care.
I feel you, Blaze.
I need my man on the squad. KD and Chris Paul, those are my two guys right there. So nothing would bring me more happiness than to see those two guys win a title together. But hopefully everything goes well. So let's talk about, closing it out, some best routes to upgrade the roster this summer, right? So we know the Suns don't have a first-round pick this year's draft. I don't believe. I think that one is
next year.
Oh, next year. Yeah, this one.
So this year goes to Brooklyn. Yeah, next year. Yeah.
Yep. So they got Cameron Payne on a partially guaranteed deal going into next season. Who knows what's going to happen there? Landry Shamet, I believe his contract is guaranteed for about $10 million going into this year. Wayne Wright is there also as well, but I think it's a team option on him. And everyone else pretty much outside of that is pretty much fair game, free agent. Hopefully they re-sign some of those guys. I think some of those guys probably be re-signed. Maybe a Bismack, maybe a Jock Landale.
Yeah.
Maybe a Okogie. I think Okogie did a solid enough job where they would like to re-sign him. I feel like
Torrey Craig.
Damian Lee, I feel like had a solid season. He had a solid season. I'm not too sure about TJ Warren, how the team feels about him. I feel like he didn't have much time to really showcase himself. Terrence Ross probably didn't get enough time to showcase himself also as well. But I feel like there's some valuable additions or some real pieces that they could pick up throughout this summer to really upgrade and bolster that roster, because a lot of people are just thinking star, but they're not realizing there's a lot of pieces that the Suns can really acquire just in the part of quality, valuable assets. Like, I know the Lopez brothers, they're available in free agency. A guy like Mason Plumlee is available in free agency. He just played. He will be a solid athletic big. Who else? I know Thomas Bryant was available. Naz Reid.
Seth Curry, look, guys like that. You know, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Even Trey Lyles, I saw too.
Trey Lyles, correct. Another good option. Mm-hmm. And that's what Denver's doing. Like Bruce Brown. Like Bruce Brown. Like,
he
come on.
was one of the pickups of the summer, brother. Low key.
That low key, great move.
Great move.
And those are the little. Yes. I tell people this all the time. Stars get you the championships. Role players win them.
Yes. Absolutely.
I can't like when we lost to the Bucks. Like it was Bobby Portis. It was Pat Connaughton. Yep. Those guys that actually take you over the hump, because the stars are going to cross cancel each other eventually at that level. You know what I mean? But listen, I think they'll have the opportunity to bring some guys back that they currently have. Obviously, the Deandre Ayton trade, I think, is going to be done with depth in mind. Yeah. Potentially a 3-for-1 type situation, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully sooner rather than later they can get that done.
Sooner rather than later. Yeah, I think that's the idea, because the quicker they do it, the more that they can see the infrastructure and the layout. And you also got to remember, like, you got to get a new coach in there. You got to start to talk about the schematics. So I think they'll have a lot of options, Blaze. And I also think that there's going to be people that I think there's going to be people that are going to surprise people. That are going to say, you know what, that guy could have got a little more, but he took that to go to Phoenix.
Yeah, because they still have really the mid-level exception.
Correct. So I think that's going to happen, Blaze. But it's going to get interesting, man. Yeah. Like, you got to, right now, the cupboard is bare, bro. Yeah. Like, it seems that way. So you got to kind of start to take advantage of opportunities and kind of let the cookie crumble. But I do expect that Deandre Ayton is going to be the first move that leads to a domino effect of building that roster. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Some names too that I was thinking about, like, even though he probably is going to command, a higher price on the market, was a guy like Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent is a free agent. You see how he's performing. He would be the perfect guy. I don't know if they can afford him, because he might command a lot of money in the offseason right now, depending on how Miami go. But a guy like that is a perfect compliment to the Phoenix Suns. Perfect guy. Maybe even a Javon Carter. What do you think about that? Because I love JC. I'm mad that they even let him go. You know what? I love JC. I'm gonna tell you another name and this is me talking. This is me talking. This ain't my sources. This ain't my people. Yeah, brother. I just want to hear who do you think will be ideal pickup? I'm telling you right now. I'm calling Jay Crowder back. Oh, you think he would come back? Oh yeah, Monty was the issue. That's what I'm saying. Monty was the issue. So I'm calling Boss Man. I'm telling you, I'm calling Boss Man. I'm saying, yo, bro, Monty's gone. Robert Sarver ain't here. I'm gonna give you the check you want. We got a new coach. Come back out here in the Valley and finish this thing. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Russell Westbrook. I'm calling you too. I'm calling him too. Yeah, I'm calling Pat Bev too. I'm calling a bunch of goons, bro. I'm calling goons. Hey, Blaze, I'm calling goons. I'm like, yo, Pat Bev, all y'all cats, line up. I want somebody that's gonna knock somebody's ass down when they mess with Booker KD. That's true. I'm messing with you with Pat Bev, bro. But you know what? He's the only one guy would be like, chill on. Everybody, he got too much smoke for the Suns. He's not having that. We can't have the ops. We can't have the ops on the roster. I'm with you. We can't have the ops, brother. But yeah, there's a lot of good names. So, what about a Dylan Brooks? Well, damn, him and Book had a little something though. Yeah. So there's some. Yeah, there's a little smoke there between those two. Yeah, there's some smoke behind there. Just like, people keep asking me about Kelly Oubre. I'm like, nah, that ain't happening again. That ain't happening again. There's some smoke behind the scenes. Another guy I was thinking of, what about a Karis LeVert? I think would run. Love, bro, I love Karis. See, that's what I'm saying, though. Those are guys that are going to, be available. Yes. Have to prove themselves and are going to jump at the opportunity to earn another contract playing with CP, Book, and KD. Yes. So that's what I think is going to happen. Some people going to make some big money signing with Phoenix this year. They're going to play for cheap, and then they're going to get another deal on the back end. Absolutely. Because playing with those, Blaze, me and you could get multi-year deals. You put us on the court with those three dudes. Come on, man. Yo, Ishmael, hook me up with a 10-day. I'm ready, man. I'm working on it, Blaze. Me and you off the bench, That's what I'm talking about. Exactly, man. So there's definitely some names that these guys, you brought up Seth Curry or Will Barton or Shake Milton was out there. Yeah. Nerlens Noel, I feel like, was out there. Serge Ibaka, who could be 10 quality minutes.
with Justice Winslow. I was talking to somebody about that the other day.
He's an Okogie type dude.
Exactly.
Another Okogie type dude.
That would be perfect. He played really well for the Blazers.
Dante DiVincenzo.
Lonnie Walker is available too.
Lonnie Walker's available. Yeah. So now you seen Blaze. I mess with you because you seeing the actual real deal.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't got to go run out there and get James Harden.
Come on. I'm mad at all of this. That's ridiculous. That to me would be a fail if they would do that. I don't think that would.
He going to Houston. He going to Houston.
It's been written in stone for a minute now too.
Yeah, he going to Houston.
Throw this thing out. What do you think about this? I don't know. Maybe crazy. What about John Wall?
Yeah.
About that? What about John Wall maybe as a backup point?
Why not?
Why not?
Here's the thing. Why not? You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. Like guys like that, I'm like, why not?
Why not?
And again, I'm gonna tell you, I love me some Russell Westbrook. Like,
me too. I don't know if he'll
Brody,
take that pay cut though, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But I will tell you this, man. He got interest in the Valley. So it's gonna be a fun summer. We're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do this more frequently, bro. Like real. Like I'm about to put it on the calendar. Like that's Blaze Day.
Yeah, let's do that. I like that. I like
Blaze Day.
Yeah, because we got a whole lot of shit to talk about this offseason, and I know it's gonna get sticky. I know they waiting for the finals to hit a little bit right after the finals. You know that's when shit starts bubbling and it starts going crazy. Right when the finals hit mid-finals, because then people start evaluating. This is what we're ready to do, because we know no one really waits for free agency nowadays anymore. No one at all. They're already talking right now.
Hey, exactly, bro. Like I've already gotten phone calls about dudes that are talking. I'm like, damn, I better not say nothing.
Yes,
because I know that ain't legal. But you know what I'm saying? But they talking. Agents talk. This always happening, man. And it's gonna be fun. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, Blaze, real talk. Mm-hmm. I'm available for you, bro. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be an interesting off season. Yes. I'm having a blast with this, bro, and we definitely gotta do this more often, man. And we can have some serious recaps and do some fun stuff, man. This was a pleasure, bro.
Absolutely. This was just a little thorn, the rose that grew from concrete right now. That's all this is right now.
Oh, I like that. That's hood. That's hood. I like that.
That's what this is, brother. That's what this show is.
That.
I should call it that. You know what?
You should. That sound like money to me, baby.
Come on, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. Flex, man. You know you my guy, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me in this episode, my brother. I'm glad that we could finally connect after all of this time. I knew this episode was going to be fire, as it already is. I want to give a major shout out to you also as well, man. I know you're doing a lot of excellent work out here, my brother. I see you got some of the haters doubting you at times, but we gonna leave them haters over there where they at, brother.
Sir.
We ain't trying to hear all of that.
You can't be great, baby. No hate, you can't be great, baby. So yeah, I'm with you, dog. Blaze, I really appreciate you. I can't say it enough, man. I'm a big fan. I was looking forward to this. I'm glad we can get this on the calendar. And you big homie now, man. So let's do this more regular, man. You got me anytime you need me, brother.
I like this. Absolutely, 100%. You 1,000% are coming back on here. So make sure we gonna definitely book that. We got each other's contacts, so that's gonna be easy living right here. So appreciate you once again, my brother, as always.
Peace out,
family. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter, on IG, and Facebook with your NBA takes. Make sure you hollering at Flex also as well. I know y'all already going his comments with the nonsense, but whatever. He gonna be there. He's there, I'm there. Make sure you hit us up, send a voicemail, also 908-718-1592. Family, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. This is episode 209, family, and we have